And welcome back, everybody, to week 3 of the Rainbow Pitch League, sponsored by Nick Muskvin, Card Merchant New Zealand, Manorcast, and Fresh and Buds. I'm Kiki, and today I'm here with Elaine to watch this fantastic game. And which heroes do you think we have here today?
We have Erika Forslöf on Dorinthea and Rachel Stoddard on Dash. I don't know. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing any names here, but I'm actually really excited to see these heroes play and
Mm-hmm,
also these players play. These are
mm-hmm.
two fantastic players, and Rachel's also a fantastic cosplayer, and Erica's a fantastic commentator. Anyway, just two great people in the space.
So here we're starting off turn 0 with a Red Warrior's Valor, followed by the Dawnblade. So this is coming in for 6, with 2 cards represented and 1 resource. Now, usually these reactions do cost 1 to kind of use, so she's probably not likely to be able to use both of them here, so this block for 9 seems pretty safe. Do you think you have any sort of ideas of what Erica's trying to accomplish in this turn?
I think well, turn one, setting up an arsenal for Dorinthea is really good. And then I guess just trying to get some damage. That Warrior's Valor only grants go again if it hits, and
Mm-hmm.
so I'm not sure she was expecting it to hit there as it's turn zero.
Yeah. Okay, so here we have a red throttle being pitched using 2 red cards to pitch for it. So this is kind of the consequences of what we saw the previous turn, where Rachel was forced to block with 3 cards to respect that damage, and she wasn't able to draw into multiple resources here. So instead
Hmm.
of getting the usual pistol, chamber, pistol kind of pattern that I expect to see throughout this game, we're just getting this 2 for 6, which is a respectable amount of damage. And here we also have a block with the not Brave Watch Braces, sorry, the Refraction
Refractors,
Bolters.
bolters. Yep.
Yeah. So we're still taking 5 damage here, but this is pretty key. It's the kind of equipment you want usually at some point in the game, and you don't want to miss that 1 point of life that you'll be saving by defending with this. And Dash doesn't really have any on hits. So here now we have a Spoils of War red,
Ooh.
followed by the Dawnblade. And this is coming in for 5 damage. She has the 1 resource, and because she didn't block previously, she still has 3 cards available to her in hand.
Yep. This is a pretty scary setup. I mean, Spoils of War is a really good card.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And here we're seeing
Okay.
that block for 9 again, just really respecting these damage bonuses. But here we see a Twinning
A
Blade.
Twinning Blade.
Yeah, so for those that don't know, Twinning Blade is essentially another version of Dorinthea's hero ability, except this one doesn't require the on hit. So this is going to allow the sword to attack again for a second time without needing Dorinthea's on hit, and will actually allow Dorinthea to trigger later in the turn because the Dorinthea hasn't triggered already. So we could potentially see 2 swings in addition here. And we
So
have...
I
Sorry?
believe Erica may have just paid into Brave Forge Bracers because of that extra.
Because of the extra pitch? Yes, I believe
Yeah,
so.
yeah, and the one float.
Yep. So this is a Dawnblade coming in for 4, and Rachel's respecting the on hit from the sword. Really doesn't want to get hit a second time, but also showing that she wants to keep that 1 card in her hand.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe not
They
keep it, because it looks like that crown is putting it to the bottom.
maybe get something better. I don't know what is in her arsenal.
Yeah, she has had that arsenal since the first turn. It could be a defense reaction potentially. That's the kind of card that you would want in your arsenal for this matchup. Um, and she has used all of her equipment here. She has 1 defense remaining on the Tekla Foundry Heart. Um,
That was a
Sorry?
pretty good turn for Erica getting an arsenal. Didn't push her any damage, but you did get 3 cards out of hand and 3 equipment.
Yeah, she did a great job to retain the tempo. So she's down on life. But this early on in the game, like just I think getting the cards out and trying to have these turns until she can have the turn that goes over the top of Rachel's hand will be pretty key.
So
Because
we have a
yeah, here we have the red T-bone. Now this wasn't boosted. This turn and the last turn, Rachel didn't boost with either of her boost cards. Granted, she hasn't had any resources. But that is the kind of thing that the dash deck normally wants to do to apply pressure boosting. So we'll see if she can kind of retain some cards in this turn and maybe start getting back on the aggressive foot.
Erica's starting with essentially 4 card hand because of that arsenal. She
Hmm.
was able to block. Let's see. Just
Yeah,
a vanilla dawn blade. Very very unsuspecting, right?
it's vanilla for now, but there might be some sprinkles later on. There might be some marshmallows. It's not necessarily how we talk about damage buffs, but here we have a block for 6.
All right.
So, as a warrior player, we know that the buffs generally get in for +3, but here we see an
A
overpower red, which
red
is,
over.
yeah. So, this is one card that's getting in for an additional 6, increasing the power of the sword to 9. Um, like I was about to say, normally these warrior buffs are like one card to give +3, so you can kind of almost. It's almost telegraphed how much more damage they're going to have, but that overpower really kind of changes the math there a little bit.
That's a good card. I love being able to play that card. It's tricky to get off sometimes.
Hmm. Okay, so we finally have a blue resource from Rachel's side, and we're coming in with
Hmm.
another red throttle. Now this one is coming in for 6, and again, she's not boosting. Do you have any ideas as to why you think this may be?
I don't think. I guess whatever's in her arsenal is not really worth the boost. I'm not sure what. I'm not a dash player like you are, Kiki. So like, what is the game plan into Dorinthea here? Because it seems like she's just kind of trying not to. She's not boosting very much, which I'm assuming she doesn't want to deck herself out, and she also does not have enough cards in her hand to really like have a high chain turn.
Hmm.
But do you think that's the correct game plan into Dorinthea, just to kind of block out, come in with one attack every turn?
Yeah, so I think as the dash player, your damage output is a lot more consistent, especially with the pistol chamber kind of item lock, quote unquote, kind of thing.
Mhm.
In this case, I think she's probably going to be running defense reactions into this matchup, as you kind
Yeah.
of would as Dash.
Right.
And as a result, I think she doesn't think the risk of boosting one of the defense reactions isn't worth it. Um,
See, you're so much smarter than me.
when you are trying to be the aggressor, you generally would prefer to boost in a scenario like this, where you have the counter on the pistol as well, so you can get another 2 damage in. Just really try to force the life points lower. Um, but in this case, yeah, losing a defense reaction could be pretty crucial, and the deck is still pretty thick. So we might see some more boosts later on in the game once some reactions have been used. But in the meantime, we have Blue Warrior's Valor and a Dawnblade coming in for 4. So here we're seeing 7 damage. Sorry, 7 block, and
7 block, right.
yeah. And as we briefly talked about before, the buffs are generally +3 here. It's going to be pretty hard to play red unmovable, so this is a pretty safe block, which is kind of representative of like how Rachel's been playing this game so far. On the downside, she has no equipment, and as a warrior player, how do you feel when you see your opponent having no blocks left on their equipment?
Oh, I feel great about that. I think the earlier you can take the equipment, the better. Because I mean, you want to block against warrior, and
Hmm.
so you'd prefer it to be out of your opponent's hand, right? I think
Hmm.
naturally, and so taking the equipment early just kind of forces them to start blocking out a hand. I do think that was a really smart block from Rachel's end, and it also kind of gives you some intel about what Erika had in her hand because she wasn't able to put it over 7, and then she did draw up to a full hand here, but it's a little bit of knowledge going into the next turn.
Hmm.
And we see a boost.
Yep. So this is a red zipper. Sorry, 0 to 60. So this is a super efficient turn, a damage in turn. Sorry, this is a super efficient turn in terms of damage. The blue resource was allowing the pistol to shoot twice, and the 0 to 60 also coming in for 4. So this is 8 damage total on this turn. Just really trying to stretch this life total lead that she has on Erika. And as we can see, like these pistol shots so far haven't been really blocked all that much. Um, but this 0 to 60 is kind of giving pause here. Now, with the Tecloplasma pistol, it's kind of inefficient almost to block it with a card from hand because it does, you're blocking 3 on 2 for the most part. But in this case, this is being blocked for 2. Okay, it's kind of the same. Oh, and she has the 2 resources for an induction chamber here.
That's really nice.
This is
Getting a
going to
second
be.
induction chamber out, I think, will help her, especially since she's just kind of remaining one, like using that one card every time, and she can keep a blue in hand, that could be pretty good with 2 induction chambers if you go into the turn with pistol loaded.
Yeah, yeah.
We did see the
Preloading's
courage
yeah,
block there from Erika too, which maybe she's planning on using it soon because really usually you only get one block out of you only want to use courage block once and you want to use its effect.
yeah, yeah. You don't generally want to block that second courage, and here we have a Steel Blade Supremacy, which is a very powerful card back from Welcome to Wraith for Dorinthea. This is giving +2 to her weapon for the remainder of the turn, not just this one attack. And every time this weapon hits, Erika's going to be able to draw an additional card. So this is kind of the thing that Rachel's probably looking to stop in its tracks before it keeps on going. Because this is the kind of play that Erika's going to need to get back into this game. And here we see Reinforce the Line, so it's not quite a defense reaction, but it's almost the same thing. This will give +4 to the defense of an attack action card, and we see an Iron Song response in return.
Looks like a red, if
Yeah,
I'm.
so we have 7, and we see a
Oh,
Sink
with
Below
the
red
sink
here as
below.
well. We are playing entirely in the reaction step for this turn. We have 11 defense on 8 power coming through, so even if Erika has those +3s that we're going to expect from Warrior, it's not going to be able to go over the top.
It's a really good hand to have for Rachel on a Steel Blade Supremacy turn.
Oh, 100%. This has entirely stopped the turn. I'm sure she would have loved to be able to arsenal that sinker below, but I think she's also very happy not kind
Right,
of
to have had
taking
it,
more.
yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And she still gets
Yep.
to keep one card in hand as well.
Oh, yep. Soon we'll see an arsenal out of Erika and draw back up.
Mm-hmm. And here we have a blue resource. We're getting a counter on the pistol and a counter on the chamber. It looks like we're going for 2 and 2, and it looks like she has a tiny little Techloplasma pistol counter there.
I was just about to say that. What? Like, of course Rachel has this little tiny. What an amazing pistol counter.
I don't have a clue if she has any pets or not, but maybe she has pet cosplays.
Little mini Dash cosplays. Oh, where did she even get that? I'm gonna have to ask her. That's fantastic.
She can make merch. If she made it herself, she could make merch. So this turn is pretty clearly represented with a 2 and 2. So Erika can do the entirety of her thinking both for her turn and this turn right now. Her turn is probably going to be more complicated than Rachel's pistol shot twice. And we see the first 2 damage taken. There's another counter, and here's that second 2. Is Erika content taking 2 damage here in order to have a 5-card hand coming back?
It
And
looks like
she
that. Yeah.
is. Yeah. So this could be a pretty big turn here as well. Having 5 cards in hand, knowing that Rachel doesn't have any equipment or an arsenal here, now could be the time to turn the corner. And I'm sorry, I can't tell what that card is. But we have
Yeah.
some sort of non-attack action followed by the Dawn Blade.
Oh. Yeah, I'm trying to see. There's a bit of a glare. I think. I believe that's the card that gives piercing.
Okay.
Um.
Is it
Oh, let me.
Precision Press, I think?
I think so.
It was a blue at the very least, I think.
You think it looks like a blue?
Just based on the life
Yeah,
total changes there.
that's gotta be precision press, which gives your next sword or dagger go again and piercing 1. I mean, at this point in the game,
Yeah.
piercing's not really important because you're not gonna get
Yeah.
equipment blocks.
But it's that go again that's important here, because we're getting a second attack. It's giving a +1
Right.
here. So this is for 4, and if this hits, it's going to get a +1 counter on the Dawn Blade, which we haven't seen all game yet. But that is the game plan.
Counters are when Dorinthea really starts getting scary.
Mm-hmm. And she
Start
has her
building up.
first one here. That Dawn Blade hit for 4. The life total difference is now 6. But we're going to Rachel's turn, who has 4 cards in hand, and I can only assume she has a plan to try to apply enough pressure in return.
This is the first time we'll see Rachel with 4 cards, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah.
Yeah, no. She has been doing a great job of trying to keep her life total high. But now she wants to put her foot on the pedal, like just really take it.
Pedal to the metal, yeah.
Exactly. And we're seeing a crown block here as well. So Erika, not content with that arsenal, wants to have 5 cards in hand, knows that Rachel didn't block, so might be expecting a big turn here. And we're getting another blue. So we have a lot of resources floating. There is still 2 cards in Rachel's hand.
Yep.
And we've got a little bit of preloaded equipment here. And the second pistol shot.
This could be a little scary knowing that you still have 2 cards coming out after. And I mean, if she has some like things like 0 to 6 easy, 0 cost little attacks that you can boost for go again, she could also like reload up before passing on to her next turn. Yep, which looks like she is doing.
Yeah, for sure. Preloading the equipments are pretty important. You mentioned this before as well. Like, if she starts her turn with both chambers already loaded, the blue means that the pistol can come in 3 times for 6
Yeah.
damage off 1 card.
Oh, look at that.
Elaine calling all shots here.
Yeah.
So here we have another red 0 to 60. This is coming in for 4 damage. There was a red overpower that was used to block the pistol previously. And Rachel has to be happy to see that red overpower being blocked with, because again, it's a great way to go over the top on damage if your opponent chooses to block exactly rather than kind of or 1 card over the point that the Dawnblade kind of requires to be blocked with.
So
But
this is boosted.
mm-hmm.
She did boost this. I don't think she has no more cards in hand, but she can come in again with the pistol, and she still has resources floating to reload after that.
Mm-hmm. I mean, she's already used both chambers already, and is
Oh,
that a
is that a
Steel Blade
steel
Supremacy
blade
being blocked with?
supremacy? Yeah. The red overpower and steel blade supremacy block. Now I'd be a little bit happy and also a little bit scared as to what might be in Erika's hand.
Erika just could have like a handful of reds.
Yeah.
Like, so this might not be a big turn coming back. It's hard to say at this point. Dorinthea kind of requires a bunch of different working pieces to come together in order to have these big turns. So that might just be a surplus of like red cards there, and she might be wanting to save her resource card and like her go again card for this turn. But 3 cards, not as threatening as 5, but Dorinthea still has on hits, and there's still a counter on that Dawnblade as well.
There is a counter on Dawnblade, yep. So
And it
here we
looks
go.
like, oh, that's the card right there. So this is functionally acting like a 4th card. It's kind of like resources for this turn, but there we are. That's a Red Warrior's Valor, and here's a Dawnblade for 7, with 1 resource remaining. So that 1 resource could have represented that Steelblade Shunt, or could have been used on the Steelblade Shunt. Not Shunt, sorry, Supremacy. With that 1 resource remaining in hand, this almost suggests that she has a reaction in hand. You kind of have to respect the sword coming in for at least 10 at this point,
Oh yeah.
because Erika chose not to use that Supremacy there. And here we have a block for 9.
For 9. I see Erika kind of she's thinking about it. Does she have it?
Interesting point.
You'd hope, if she doesn't have it here, she does risk losing that counter also. Oh, there we
But
go.
there we
Red
go. There's
Iron
that.
Song response.
So now this is coming in for 10.
10.
Going over that 9. And she still has that resource available here, so she can now use those Braveforge Bracers. And because that sword is free, this is coming in for 5 damage. Rachel only has 1 card in hand and no equipment. The sword is going to hit, and we're going to get a second counter.
That is pretty scary. And that was a pretty good turn. Still, I mean, I'm
Yeah.
really she'd made a lot happen with what did we see there? And a Red Iron Song response, a Red Warrior's Valor, and then the pitch card, which I forgot what the pitch card was, but
It was a blue.
yeah, it was just some blue. Um, a great value turn though.
Oh, for sure. And it was all kind of powered by that Courage of Bladehold being essentially like an energy pot for that turn. It was
Yep.
just 2 resources for that sword that she didn't need to have in hand. And this is what you're talking about before, or what we were talking about before. This is the pitching the one blue with preloaded items to come in for 6 damage. So even though Erika has 2 counters and took 3 cards out of Rachel's hand, Erika's still coming back for 6 because of that preloading.
I mean, we have an eight life difference here, right? With
Mm-hmm.
Rachel's still up, she's still got a very healthy life lead.
Mm-hmm.
Um, if she can just continue to do that,
Mm-hmm.
it's still a very close game. Even though we're seeing really impressive turns from Erika, Rachel is doing a fantastic job on maintaining a good life total and still managing to put just a little bit of pressure every turn and push through a little bit of damage.
Yep, but it's going to get harder as that sword continues to grow. And speaking of, here we have a Blue Warrior's Valor coming in for 6 now because of those 2 counters. Um, yeah, so this is the kind of case where, like, if there wasn't any counters here, this would only be for 4. That could be stopped by 1 defense reaction. But in this case, this is requiring 2 cards at minimum to make sure the sword doesn't come in for any damage. And we're getting a block for 6 here, so this is currently an even 0 damage coming through. But of course, warriors generally have a few tricks up their sleeve, and here we see another Iron Song response.
Oh, this looks familiar.
And we're
Oh,
seeing another reinforced line.
another reinforced line.
And there we go. So now we're seeing 10 on, I don't know what color that reinforced line is, but I can only assume it's not quite enough to go over the top currently. If it's a blue one, then even another reaction from hand isn't going to go over the top of this reinforced line.
It's a pretty good card. I also think it's interesting. I've never been a huge fan of Warriors Valor, but they've put in quite a bit of work here for Erika this game.
Mm-hmm. So, despite the fact it doesn't have the unconditional go again that things like hit and run will give you,
Right.
just that damage bonus is just so important here. Um, like it's just forcing cards out of Rachel's hand. So even though Rachel's still been able to attack, like she hasn't been able to use the full force of her offensive powers of the deck. It's mostly been the pistol at this point after those first few turns.
We also have not really seen Erika be short resources so far, except that courage turn. But then she was able to use courage, like you said, efficiently as effectively as a looks like just a blind draw here with that
Hmm.
glint to see if she can get something to put it over the top, but she did not.
Yeah, it was a pretty ambitious glint to Quicksilver there if her intention was to hit, because she was still down 3 power on that exchange. So no one card there would really work other than a Singing Steelblade. But it looks like we have a blue being pitched here for the pistol. This is coming in twice. Rachel has no cards in hand. So this turn we can expect 4 damage here, but like 4 damage is over a quarter of Erika's life total left, and Erika's still on 25.
Rachel's still on 25,
Sorry,
yeah.
Rachel's still on 25. Thank you.
An equipment block. I mean, yeah,
Yeah. So one of
that's a
the
good block.
yeah one of the things about Mechanologist is that outside of Combustible Courier, there's no real on hits in the deck. Now I haven't checked to see if there's any red Combustible Couriers in Rachel's list, but I can only imagine she probably at least has
See,
blue, so which would be the only reason why you'd want to kind of keep an equipment. But a blue 2 power is pretty easy to block from hand anyway, as is. Okay, so we're going back to Erika's turn. She kept all the cards in her hand, and here we have those Warriors' Valors again.
Warriors, Valors, yep.
And an
An
Iron Song
iron song
Determination.
determination. That is, oh wow.
That's a powerful Welcome to Wraith combo right there. Now, there's no
That
equipment to block with, there's no reactions in the arsenal. Literally, only an immovable could stop this.
that's a really. I mean, this is exactly where you want to be. Oh my gosh.
And there's the unmovable to stop this. But if Erika has a reaction, this attack is going to hit because Erika's not going to be able to defend with any other cards.
Yeah, Rachel. Yep.
Rachel, I'm getting the names wrong, aren't I?
You are good. We're rolling with it. That is. I mean, I love when they have exactly what. Oh,
Oh, and here's a Singing Steel Blade.
swinging steel
So
blade.
it'd be interesting to see what sort of reaction we get here. Like, the
Yeah,
Singing Steel
right.
Blade's going to make this go over the top regardless. So this could be anything. It could be a Glint of Quicksilver just to do that cycling play that she made last turn as well. Otherwise, it could just be this Iron Song response here to see
Iron
more
Song.
damage through.
I think that's probably much safer than the Glint the Quicksilver.
Yeah, I'd have to agree there. Um, Granted, she has no resources currently at the moment. She has one card in hand, so Glint would essentially just be getting an arsenal. But I think in this case, Erika wants to kind of turn the corner. Like she wants to apply the pressure. Like there's only so much more time she has before these pistols are threatening every card in her hand. Um, but let's see what kind of resource she has.
Yep,
It looks like a blue because she's used the buff on the bracers, and we're
bracers.
coming in for 4. Once again, almost guaranteeing this is going to hit unless there's another reaction. Does
Yeah,
Rachel have
the
2 of them?
sink below could be not. There's nothing coming on top of this, but at the same time, it's if it weren't for that Iron Song, this could be easily preventable. However, because Iron Song, it's dominated, and then yep, you get another counter, which is putting Erica in a good spot, and she's closing in that life total a little bit with that turn too.
Yeah, yeah. So now the life totals are 5 in difference. Um, and here we're seeing a load and then a red throttle. We've now seen all 3 red throttles coming in for 6 again. And Rachel did preload the pistol, and this time she's electing to boost to try to get that 2 damage. She's gone through quite a few of the generic reactions or instants in the deck already,
Hmm.
so it's quite a lot safer to boost now, which is why I think we're seeing a difference in play here. And there's a little bit more urgency with Erika being so close. This 8 damage, if it goes unblocked, is going to bring Erika down to 5.
Yep, and I mean the Iron Song response, Iron Song determination. Last turn was really good. However, it did let Rachel might not have had that card to push Erica down.
Hmm.
Had that Dawnblade not been dominated, you kind of see that the interesting thing where it's like, oh, I get to do more damage to my opponent, but at the same time, it allows them to do more damage to me when they would want to block more.
Hmm. Now, what we didn't state at the time is that Rachel had to actually pitch 2 cards for that unmovable, so it was almost like it took 3 cards out of Rachel's hand, which is why she's only left with 1. Here we have a Glistening Quicksilver from the Brute and Warrior pre-constructed Blitz
I believe it's
battle deck. I can't remember what that product is called, but this is one of the most important cards in that deck. This one gives a go again and unconditional go again to your sword, but also this gives it a +1 counter if it hits this turn, for each time it hits this turn.
right, and that does not say until the end of the turn, right? It just gets a
Yep.
counter. Glistening Steel Blade, I believe you said Quicksilver, but
Oh, sorry. Yeah, sorry.
yep.
um, I know what the cards do. Names I'm a bit rough on. So this one we're getting a block for 3, but this sword is coming for 4. So here we see a second unmovable.
And that is Rachel's entire hand also,
Yeah.
which means that she will be taking a turn off. I don't know if Erica is going to push through any damage this turn. We'll have to see. But I mean, at 5 life with the whole pistol 2 times situation that we've been seeing, Erica must be sighing a sigh of relief right now, knowing that she doesn't have to deal with the pesky 2 and 2.
Oh, she's doing more than
A
not dealing with the pesky 2
twinning
and 2. That's a
blade.
twinning blade. Now this card is super crucial when your opponent tries to block tall rather than wide on your turn. Like Rachel had to overcommit to a lot of resources to try to stop that first hit, but with that, it's just coming in with a second time, and I believe she put 2 counters on the sword there. I don't think she should have. I think it should have only been 1 because that sword only hit once that turn.
I think she just ticked it up to 2 because the sword already had 1 counter on it, and then it got an additional counter. Oh,
Um, yeah, there's possibly something that we've missed there, but we don't have access to the audio at the moment. But either way, that sword currently has 3 counters on it. And we're going back to Rachel's turn, who only gets a draw up, and now we're back in Erika's turn, who has a full 5 cards with 2 counters, and this is a Spoils of War again, the
yeah.
unconditional go again. Here's a
Oh, that
Sharpened
is
Steel.
a sharpened steel, correct? Which is just gonna buff the sword by, I believe, 3 if that's a red.
Mm-hmm. This is 11 damage coming through. That's
That
gonna
is a
take. It's gonna take all 4 cards out of Rachel's hand to defend this, if she wants to defend all of it.
she wants to stop it. I mean, and then you still have 2 cards in hand.
Mm-hmm.
This does have go again.
Mm-hmm.
This is a really really good setup right now. I mean, this this game has been so well played on both parts. And even with this 9 life total, you have to. This is so threatening. I mean, she has a lead on life by 9. Rachel does right
Mm-hmm.
now, but this is still very scary.
With access to resource and cards, is it kind of crazy to just kind of take all of this damage? Like, can you take this 11? Because you're not going to
I
stop all of it. But you can potentially stop the second swing and then still have a turn afterwards. Like, I.
yeah. Well, it's kind of getting to the point where it's like, how do you, where do you want to take damage? Because at this point, it's like I don't know how you can, if she can continue to keep full blocking. You can't let the counters grow at this point. But you know that you're not going to win the game without being able to throw some damage back.
Mm-hmm. And
It's
you don't
just
need to throw that much damage back. Erika's only on 5.
right. It's a little bit of a tricky situation.
Oh, for sure. I expect this to be one of the harder block decisions that Rachel's had to make so far. So far, it's been pretty clear cut with her blocks. Very much protect my life total. Coming for a little bit. But here we go. There is no blocks here. We are taking the 11 damage. We're going to block the second attack and try to close the game out on the next turn.
That does mean that Erika did not have a react, because I mean, if she would have had an Iron Song response, I guess you risk Rachel coming back with the defensive reaction also, but then that would have been her entire life
Mm-hmm.
total.
It's possible that she had reprise reactions as well, and because Rachel didn't block.
Right. An Iron Song response is a reprise reaction.
Mm-hmm. But instead, we're just coming in. There was no reaction in hand at the very least, but we're going to see a Bracers into Dawnblade. This is coming in for 7 damage with those 3 counters. This is huge. This is going to take a 2-card block just to stay alive. Rachel's going to only have 2 cards in hand to try to close the game out, which could be 3 pistol shots. We'll just have to see what resources are available to her here. And also, Erika still has that 1 resource. If she can draw some cards out of Rachel, there could be some sort of reaction here that kind of guarantees the win almost.
A card in Arsenal as well.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she's really thinking about this. I mean, that last swing was quite a crazy. I mean, really, really beautiful Dorinthea setups.
Mm-hmm. This is the kind of game plan Erika's been playing for this whole time. She's been having these combo turns to take cards out of Rachel's hand. But at this point, she needs the combo turns to close out the game. And that life total, they just disappeared just like that in that one turn. We're getting a 3-card block there, respecting that reaction. 1 card left for Rachel. There's no lethal left in this hand, most likely. With 1 card, Dash can't deal 5 damage in 1 turn.
Right. I think that you just gotta. Yeah, I mean, it is difficult, right? Do you just go ahead and I don't know what is.
Oh no, that's a chamber. Sorry, a purifier. That's an item. We're only getting 1 resource here. This isn't even attacking twice.
Do you think that it would have been better in to Arsenal?
Most likely not. I think you need to still apply the pressure at this point as much as you can.
Put a little
Um,
bit, yeah.
yeah, it does also explain kind of why Rachel may not. Well, Rachel didn't even have the choice to 4-card block last turn, being an item.
Yep. So we do see just a Brave Forge Bracers block.
Mm-hmm. So life total should be 4 and 3, if I'm not mistaken. That Braces has already blocked once.
Yeah, it should be.
But regardless, Erika does still have more life. More importantly, has 5 cards in hand. And we're starting again with the Spoils of War. And I feel like we've seen this turn before.
I was saying that once again, this looks familiar.
And we're getting another 11 damage here again.
And I mean, as Rachel, you just got to be like, oh my gosh, I thought I just took care of this last time. Last time there was the whole debate of, okay, you could take this, and she did. This you and still with 1 float and 2 cards, 1 in hand, won an arsenal.
This is the same
Yeah.
scenario as last turn, but this time you just kind of have to full block and hope Erika doesn't have anything here. There's really no other choice at this point. Unless there's some funky reaction shenanigans I'm not thinking of. Rachel's contemplating the cards. 3 cards not going to be enough. It's going to have to be all 4.
Yep, you'd have to throw your whole hand and hope that there's nothing else coming after it.
Mm-hmm. But it looks like there
Um,
may be. And here's the
looks like
reaction. So that's going to
oh,
be
with
the
the
game.
overpower.
Thank you everyone for joining us for week 3 of the Rainbow Pitch League, and we'll see you for the next game.